Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me on Breakroom Mom.
So happy to be here, Julie.
Awesome. So, Lisa, you are the founder of the Center for Online Safety, and you have the all-important job of helping families navigate the tricky parts of technology that we're all dealing with, the challenges of having kids who are gaming, using social media, and AI. And as a parent, I'm super excited for this. As a parent to a 7-year-old who's coming home and starting to ask all these questions, I'm super excited to hear what you have. And you're going to share some real practical strategies on how to keep our kids safe, connected, and for our parents, for us to stay involved in our kids' world. So I'm really, really grateful for today. Thank you.
I'm excited to dive in.
I have so many questions for you. Before we get started on all those questions, we're going to do something fun. My favorite part of my episodes of the podcast, it's called Our Turn for a Tantrum. And as moms, we get to hold it all in. We don't get to have those tantrums that often. But today, Lisa, you get the opportunity. All right, my friend. Well, you have 60 seconds. I'm turning the floor over to you. Share your rant, and then I'm going to mosey on into mine.
Okay, perfect. Julie, my life rant is around swimsuit and bra companies not sewing the padding into these things. When we wash these garments that we like when we buy them, and the padding crumples up into nothingness, and we have to take our fingers and stuff it in that 1-inch hole to try to decrumple things, that drives me crazy. And companies, you can make 2 versions of something. You can do a padding and a non-padding, or you can just satisfy me and sew the padding in so that I'm not spending 10 minutes doing this. That's my rant.
Oh my gosh, Lisa, preach. Oh my gosh. I think every woman knows this struggle. And also sportswear, like the sports bras. Like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Why are we spending our time like this? I guarantee you, if men have this issue, it would be fixed.
Totally. They don't have a netting in their swimsuits versus non-netting in their swimsuits issue. Like, you don't hear about that. No one is talking about that.
No one's talking about it. Or the crumpling things that they have to go and fix manually. Not cool, guys.
Not cool. Man, that's a good rant. I love that one. You'll laugh at my tantrum for today, but it's a real one.
Okay.
Labubu's.
Oh.
Have you heard of these things?
Yes, I have.
I have so many questions. Where did they come from? Why are they so expensive? My oldest is begging me for one. They're like over $100. They're creepy looking. Have you seen them? They're creepy looking.
I've seen a couple of pictures. I had no idea they were over $100.
Oh, yeah. And then there's the whole like Lafufus, which are the fake ones, and Labubus, which are the real ones. And it's a whole thing. And I just want to know who created these. They also have no functional purpose. So they don't actually do anything. You're paying for over $100. They don't talk to you. It's not like you can braid their hair. There's nothing to them. You can buy clothes and dress them, but like that's it. So my rant today is going to be Labubus. Lisa, you have a really interesting background. So you were actually in finance and a CPA and a CFO. So tell me, like, how did you get into this? What was the lightning bolt moment for you that made you trade all the work on spreadsheets for safe time on the internet?
It makes it sound like there really was a lightning bolt moment. It was more like a meandering path, as many good career stories are, right? So I was a CPA, CFO for a lot of years. Then my husband and I started a retail store in Seattle, and that took my time. Then we started having kids, and I was at home with them for a while. I started homeschooling them. And along the way, I was taking parenting classes because I was not honestly happy with my parenting skills at that moment. And took all of the classes I could and found out that now I could actually teach these classes. So I started teaching parenting classes. And as I was doing that, say 10 years ago, parenting shame was real around screen time back then. We were not sharing information back and forth. We weren't, admitting, oh my gosh, my child, I think they saw porn last night. What are we going to do? Like all of those things were really secret 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And parents would come to me at the end of a parenting class and say, don't tell anyone, but this is happening in my family. What do I do? All of the questions they were asking were around screen time.
Wow.
And I realized there was an opportunity to specialize and to take what I knew in the general parenting world and apply it to screen time and ask questions like, what is the best thing to do? When do you get your first device? How do you talk to your kids about pornography and when they see it? All of those things, like really apply what I knew to this specialized world of internet safety. So that is sort of short story how it happened. It just evolved into what it is. And at the same time, my kids were getting older and having access to more devices and technology. And I watched their generation really struggle and wobble with ethical dilemmas, with influencers and the values that they had, with, all of the things that hit kids hard on social media.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I hate what you said, and it's true, but I hate it, is the shame around it. All of us as parents, we're going to face these obstacles and more, and it's like we should lean on each other. That's why I'm passionate about this topic, and I'm passionate about starting this podcast, is because moms need moms, other parents. Well, speaking of being vulnerable, you've mentioned that your journey into this work started with a digital crisis right in your own home. As much as you're comfortable sharing, what happened that made you realize, like, I've got to take my own steps to protect my family?
In a nutshell, it was a bad situation. We got through it. It took some time, and it really motivated me to help other families that either to prevent it from happening, these digital crises, or to help them through it in a way that was easier than what we went through.
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. I want to talk about Gen Z and millennial parents. I mean, we're in the throes of it. We have little ones. And I think we can sometimes feel like this guinea pig generation of parents. We're the first to raise our kids with, they're going to have access to 24/7 high-speed internet. That was very different from my childhood. It was not until I was in like high school that my parents had dial-up. And even then it was that annoying, Mom, are you using the phone? I want to get on AOL. It's so much. But anyways, talk to me, like, why do you think parenting in the digital age feels so much harder than it did for like our parents and generations past?
Because we are the first generation trying to do this. We don't have role models that say, oh, here's how I did it and here's how we got through these hard years. I think that's the first one. And the second one is technology is always changing. What's popular 5 years ago isn't popular now. Facebook is one of the oldest social media platforms. They're only 21 or 22 years old. Like, they're still just barely, if they were...
Yeah.
If they were people, they'd just barely be able to be calling themselves adults. Technology has changed and evolved, and what we can do with it is so different. Also, like location on / surveillance stuff is very different than when your generation was little. We didn't have that same ability, and nobody had the ability to track children or, at all times what was happening in location. I think a lot of things have changed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You brought up, our generation kind of like learning Facebook, or I think we were the first to do AOL Instant Messenger and practice some very not safe behaviors on AOL Instant Messenger that I wish I could take back a millionfold, or MySpace. And so I think there's this fallacy, or there's a potential fallacy from parents my age who think that they're tech savvy. They're like, I grew up with it. I know the mistakes I was making. I've got this. But what do you think are the biggest blind spots for us when it comes to our kids' safety?
Ooh, such a good question. I could think of a couple. One is some parents say, I want my kids to be safe online, but I also want them to have their privacy. And to that, I say kids need guardrails. And our job as parents is to provide a safe place for them to grow and explore that's appropriate. So I don't think kids need privacy when they're learning how to use these things. I think we've got to step in and look at their devices and make sure that they're using it properly, and use a monitoring app and use all of the tools at our disposal, because otherwise the digital world is invisible and we have no ability to know what's going on. If my child was hitting another child outside, I could look outside and see that and I would know how to correct that. But if I don't even know that it's happening, I can't get involved and correct behavior and say, no, this is not how I want you to act. I can't do any of that stuff. So safety over privacy as kids are learning how to use this. Over time, of course, by the time they're 18, we want them to be able to use it properly and have privacy and all of that. So, it's a approach that grows as your child grows. The other thing I think that's different is algorithms, right? It's one thing to tell your child not to search up things, or here's what you're going to find if you do this search, or here's what I want to prepare you for, versus you're on social media and the For You page suggests something very titillating that you might want to go check out. And it's not something that they even thought to look up until they saw that. And then they're like, ooh, what's this? Or the algorithm recommends something on YouTube as a next watch for you. I wonder what that's about. I'm really curious. It's not even that you like it, right? The algorithm doesn't care if you like it. It's just, what are you going to watch next?
Yeah.
You don't have to like it. You end up looking at a car crash, not because you like the car crash, but because it's different. It's new. It's something that you want to be sure everybody's okay in. And it grabs your attention. So it's shocking. It's new. It's horrific sometimes, and you can't look away.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing the algorithm delivers.
And it's human behavior, right? To latch on to the most shocking, jarring imagery. I like what you said about privacy and safety, and like choosing safety over privacy, because I think a lot of my peers, and maybe even myself, we talk about like conscious parenting, right? Which is this idea of the child having autonomy and all that kind of stuff. But alongside of that means you're giving them the tools to be able to exercise that autonomy. And being involved in the digital world is the way that you give them tools. It's not just giving it to them and hoping everything goes well. I like what you said there. That's really, really good advice.
Thank you. Let's not just hope for the best. Let's make sure that there are some guardrails there. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You mentioned a little bit about digital milestones and appropriate ages and that kind of thing. So I want to dive into this. I want to know what your advice is for digital milestones, what age you think it's okay to give a child a smart device, what age are they actually ready for social media? Give it to me straight, Lisa. I got to know.
Okay, first of all, we are lucky in this generation to have choices for what first devices look like. We are super lucky. 10 years ago, we didn't have all of these options, but there are some great starter phones that do not give kids access to everything and that you can scale up to that point, but they start really basic. My favorite watch and phone is the Bark, BARK watch and phone, just because it starts bare bones, and you as a parent get to decide when they're ready for other things. So it's scalable. Some of these other phones, not so scalable. You want to make sure that you're doing research into which phone. Digital milestones, that's changed over time. What my recommendations are, as we get more research on screen time and child development and youth mental health and all of these things interacting with each other. It used to be that, if we could get kids to wait until 13 for social media, which we know there's 7 and 8-year-olds out there using social media and they're not getting kicked off, but they're supposed to be, according to the US, they're supposed to be 13 as the minimum. That's not good enough now, based on the research that we know and how much kids are attracted to using social media hours and hours a day. We know their mental health is suffering. So the latest research says you've got to be 16 for social media. And to even have a full-fledged smartphone, the age has raised to 14.
Okay.
So that's really different advice than what we were talking about a couple of years ago, before we had all the research behind us on what the implications are of giving a 10 or 12-year-old a phone.
talk to me about, so the Bark phone you mentioned is kind of like one of the ones that you like for early introduction. And you said it has minimal feature. I was imagining it's like you get 5 phone numbers to call or text. Like it's very basic.
It can start as basic as you want. If you're going to start about let's talk about pre phones though. Right now, there's a really cool company. It's called Tin Can. And have you heard of it?
No,
Okay,
tell me.
cool. So it's a step up from landline phones. The problem with landline phones is not everybody wants a landline phone. There's a lot of spam that comes through on landline phones, and you get calls all hours. So this Tin Can is you buy their device and you pay for a monthly service, and then your child, say they're 6, 7, 8 years old, they get to practice their social skills on a telephone with only audio. So there's no video to distract them. There's no taking pictures of each other. There's nothing fancy out there. It's just old fashioned telephone calls. And excuse me, the good thing about that is they get to give out their number and you approve the numbers that come in. So they might have a pod of 5 phone numbers they can call, and you set the hours that the phone is available.
Ooh.
Pretty cool. And there's no spam. No spam.
No spam calls. I love that.
Yes. So for early kids who are like, I just want to talk to my friends, and you see the value in the social skills developing without all the extra stuff, Tin Can is the way to go.
Very cool. I want to talk about the research a little bit because actually coming into this conversation, I spoke with someone yesterday and mentioned I was having this conversation. And they live in Portugal, so ex-US, but they were talking about, European stance on, introduction of smartphones and social media. And I want to say they're thinking like 8th grade, maybe even a little older now. But she spoke about different studies that have shown the introduction of social media. And you could see, like, for example, we'll go with Facebook. When Facebook rolled out in the US, and then you could see exactly the year that it rolled out in other countries. And you could see the adolescent mental health and depression rates and anxiety rates also climb with that. I don't know exactly what research she was looking at, but I thought that was incredibly interesting.
It is. You can look at the smartphone, the iPhone, the Android phone, and when they first came into existence and kids started to get them with those same graphs on youth mental health, we're in a youth mental health crisis right now. Suicide rates, depression rates, anxiety rates are all through the roof. And there is a correlation between all of this new tech that we've given kids and youth mental health. What our former Surgeon General said, he is very passionate about this topic because he has 2 young kids. He wrote a report in 2023 about youth mental health, and he actually looked at all the research and said, if your child is on social media for 3+ hours a day, which many kids and teens are, 3 or more hours a day, your likelihood for a poor outcome with mental health doubles.
Wow.
So anxiety rates double, depression rates double if you're on social media for more than 3 hours. So then you ask, well, how many hours are American kids on social media, right? Is it over 3 hours? Yes, it's over 3 hours. So we have a problem.
We have a big problem. And that feels like so much, like 3 hours. I'm like, gosh, that seems like a long time. But I'm sure it's completely possible. I mean, all of us doom scroll occasionally, and before you know it, you look up at the clock and you're like, oh my gosh. You mentioned we're super lucky to have options on what we introduce to our kids, what that first quote unquote device introduction is. How do you recommend sort of a staggered introduction? So I'm assuming something like the Tin Can audio only is maybe a first, and then where do you go from there?
It depends. Every family has different reasons for giving devices. For some, it's I got to know where my child is because they walk home. I need to know their location. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's they've got to text me because they go on sports things. It's different needs, but I would say start there. What are your needs and work backwards? What does your child really need? Don't get them all the bells and whistles the first time around. Think about needs and put safety first. So just kind of bare bones it for as long as you can, okay, and focus on needs.
I love that. Thank you. I want to talk about the family framework.
Yes, the 5 circles of safety.
I'm super excited about this. So, can you walk us through the family acronym, the 5 circles that you developed?
Absolutely. Yes. I came up with this because parents are always asking, what are the things that I should be looking at? And I feel like it's easy to put it into different areas of focus. And it's not that you start in one place and once you've done family once, you're done because your kids are older. Surprise, they need different things. So family is an easy way to remember the 5 things. So starts with filter the internet, make sure that on your home network, the internet is filtered and all of the garbage isn't able to come through your home network. And then the A in family is align with parenting partners, whether it's a spouse or a grandma who takes kids after school or daycare or whoever has kids on a daily basis. Align with them. Let them know, hey, I only want them to use screens, for an hour after school. Can you get on the same page with me and have them go outside, have them color, have them do other things? So just having that adult agreement or at least conversation. If you can't get to agreement, at least let them know what your
Wishes are.
To do it. What your wishes are. Yes. So align. And then the M is monitor. Monitor your kids. And there's a human monitoring, which is, taking their devices, looking at them, letting them know this is my device. I'm letting you use it. And here are my expectations around it. And so that's the human part, looking at devices, sitting with them as you scroll and they scroll. It's okay. And if they start getting freaky about you looking over their shoulder at whatever they're doing good stuff.
Yes.
That's just an open door policy. I can look at your screen. It's part of parenting. And then the other side of monitoring is using. I recommend using a platform like Bark. Bark has a monitoring service. There are some free things that let you set bedtimes on devices that let you say, hey, my kid can only have Instagram for 15 minutes a day. They block downloads. That's all great. Bark does all of that. It's a paid monthly service, but it also sends parental alerts. So it lets you monitor in a different way. I think there's 26 or 27 apps that it looks at. And if your child is doing something inappropriate, if they're sent a nude photo, if they're in a potential bullying group chat, Bark sends you, the parent, an alert that says, hey, here's a little snippet of the conversation. You might want to go and check this out. And then you as a parent get to decide if it's sarcastic and it doesn't need help. It's just friends being silly. Or if it's something serious, say a nude photo, and you do need to follow up on it. The kids, they get to help you when you set up Bark. So it's not a sneaky surveillance thing that they don't know about. They know about it. And it's another way to throw a parent under the bus in a good way. Hey guys, this group chat is getting too spicy. My mom is going to see this.
Yeah, right.
So letting them say, my mom, she's going to watch this or she's going to look at this. So stop. And then they're off the hook for being the bad guy. It's just the parents.
So that's M for monitor.
That's M. Oh yeah, M. Then I is interact. So let your child show you what they're interested in. Let them be the experts in, hey, show me the game that you love. Let's play it together, even if it makes you a little dizzy, which is some of them do.
Right.
So tell me what you love about it. Show me what you're doing. See if chats are popping up. See what's going on in the game. And it's not to get them in trouble, just like monitoring isn't to get them in trouble. It's to guide. It's to have those safeguards. It's to understand what their digital life looks like. So that's the interact piece. Let them be the boss and show you, let them, if you don't have Instagram yet, if you don't have TikTok yet, let them, if they're of age, 13 or up, according to the U.S. government, help you set it up. That is a learning thing right there because you'll go through the privacy settings together and you may discover things that they don't even know that are in there. So it's a good learning for both of you. So family. So then there's the L, limit. Put screen time limits on your kids. We know when there's limits, you do the things you most want to do first. And then you get, sillier and silly. If you have unlimited time, well, it just goes everywhere. But if you only have 30 minutes or an hour, you're going to do the most important things first. So limiting is healthy. It lets tech be a part of your day without consuming your day. The earlier that you start this, the better, because then it's just a family expectation. It's just how you do things. It's no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean you can't do it later. I'm sure we'll talk about that. So family. Oh, and then the why. The why is kind of a cheat. It's remember why you do this. You do this because you love your kids. You want them to stay safe. You want them to grow up to be healthy young people that can use technology.
Yes, in a smart way. I loved what you said in the monitor section about sitting with them and watching them as they scroll. And you're right, like it may feel intrusive, but if I think about it, I'm like, not really, because prior to smartphones, when kids were watching TV, it's like if my parents walked into the room and they saw I was watching something on TV that they didn't agree with, it was like, no, stop. It's like it's the same sort of, they're just getting it on a smaller screen. And so, yeah, like being attuned to that is super important.
Yeah, the other thing with monitoring, if your kids are into games, have them take off their headphones sometimes. First of all, games should be in like a central room, not in their bedroom. And it's really important because trash talking is kind of the accepted culture in a lot of games. So have them have those conversations out in the open, see how it goes, see who the troublemakers are, right? These are two troublemakers. It's a way to, again, monitor what you can't know. If it's always headphones, if it's always personal devices in, close to them that they can't see, a way to know more.
Yeah, absolutely. In your experience, which of those from the family, the acronym, where do you see parents struggle the most?
I would say two things. One is limiting because it's hard, especially if they feel guilty because they're using tech.
Mm-hmm.
If they're working at home and it feels like they're always on their device and they're working and, 100%, parents feel guilty about their own tech use. And honestly, some adults are addicted, right? It's an easy, comfortable pattern to get into. It's a habit that's hard to break, but we can. So that would be one, is the limit piece. And the other is the monitoring piece, just like how do I do that? What does that look like so that it doesn't take my whole entire day? I have parents who say, it takes me 2 hours to go through every text message that my child sends and all of their different profiles and social media accounts and this and that. It takes me 2 hours a week to do that. And I'm like, gosh,
Wow.
if you have 3 kids like I do, that's 6 hours. I could never sustain even 2 hours of that. We gotta streamline this.
Sure.
So finding easy ways to do that, which is, family time in the main rooms, being able to sit next to them, as well as a company like Bark using their parental monitoring to make it easier for you so that you can just scroll through and go, oh, there's a critical one. All of these other 100, not so critical.
Yeah. Okay. That's good advice.
And if your youth is using tech properly, you're not going to get any alerts, theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically. Yeah, if you've talked about it. You mentioned this, and I think it's a good segue to this, which is I feel that guilt. I'm guilty of doom scrolling. I'm guilty of we're cuddling on the couch watching a Disney movie, but then like I get a little bored and I start scrolling on my phone. My kids see what I'm doing, obviously, with the podcast. They've seen me create social posts and social ads. So I do feel a little bit silly, like saying to them, like, no, you can't, or, that kind of stuff. So what do you say to parents in those situations?
I think it's okay to have 2 different sets of rules. I think it's okay for the kids to have one set of rules and expectations and the parents to have another. I also think it's important to be honest with yourself about how you're using tech and to consciously think about when you're picking up a phone during a movie. What am I showing or what am I valuing the people here on the couch or what's happening on the phone? I think it's important to notice how it feels to be the left out one. it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel
Right,
good.
right.
So, the best thing I can think of to do is say out loud, I'm picking up my phone to check text messages. I'm going to put it down when I'm done. Because if you say it out loud, somebody else is going to hear you and call you out if you don't. So it's a habit that you can start when your kids are 2 and 3 years old. I'm picking up this phone to set up a play date and to order pizza, and I'm putting it back down.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, phones are meant to engage us. Phones are meant to keep us on for longer, and all those silly notifications, to the extent you can turn off the notifications that are not critical, the ones just coming at you from social that you don't need to know right away, do it. It's gonna free up your life.
Yeah. I also think you bring up a good point about like asking yourself why you're doing it and like knowing your why. Like, is it just like a nervous habit, a nervous tick? Is it a boredom buster? In which case, like, could I just as easily be coloring while I'm watching the movie or knitting or something with my hands, if that's it? So I like all of your points there. That's super smart. All right. I want to head into 2026, some hot topics that everyone is talking about. AI. Ugh, such a hard one. From homework help to AI friends, what do you think is the number one thing parents need to know right now about AI?
AI is not ready for kids. It's not ready. 100% it's not ready for kids. It is screwing up left and right. And until they prove that it's safe, our kids should not be using it. Whether it's help with homework, we're losing critical thinking skills if it's anything more than tutoring, right? If they're writing papers, if they're going to it as a primary resource, it also hallucinates. So there are times where it doesn't tell you the truth about things, or it doesn't tell you facts that are accurate, or it's biased. I think there's a lot of things wrong with AI right now when it comes to using it with children. The number one thing that parents should be aware of is how insidious these conversations are with kids who have serious problems. They really want to talk it through with someone. And rather than feel safe and comfortable with a school counselor or a parent or a coach or someone who's human, who would actually have their best interest at heart, they try out an AI companion, a chat bot, Snap AI. There's AI so many different places. They try that out and they find that AI reinforces exactly what they're already thinking. My parents are so mean. Yeah, tell me why your parents are mean. And it just goes down this rabbit hole of no friction. When you've got someone who has your best interest at heart, they would say, your parents, they're strict. And this is, why. There's a difference. There's all kinds of nuances that adults can point out, and they can be empathetic, but not completely agree with the mindset that the child is going down into of, okay, I have to run away. I have to, like, these really big things. AI chat bots and companions, they have caused kids to take their lives because they didn't see a different way out. AI didn't think it was a bad idea, and there's no conscience there. So, it's really dangerous to use AI as therapy. That's my number one lesson for students when I go into classrooms and talk about AI.
Yeah. Yeah. It's scary. It's really, really scary. I think we've all seen an AI generated image as we're doing the scrolls and the images or the videos. We're doing the scrolls on social media. We see the video and it's a plane taking off and all of a sudden it bursts into fire or whatever. And then you're kind of like, what in the world? And then you scroll down and you're like, this was AI, generated. So if it can be tricky for adult brains, how in the world do we explain that concept to little brains who may be seeing it for the first time?
Yeah, I think that's a real problem. Understanding our generation, if it was a video, it's real. I mean, that's the end of the story.
Right.
And that is no longer true. I would say most of what we're seeing on social these days is a bot or AI generated or AI somehow influenced. Even the influencers are using it to create videos that they're not in.
Sure.
Skepticism, skepticalness is going to be a huge thing for us to teach and demonstrate ourselves with this generation. And I think senior citizens and people older generations are having even a harder time with it. They're getting scammed. They're getting targeted by scammers because it still feels real.
Mm-hmm.
These things that are not real. I've tried a lot of different ways. When I go into a classroom, 2 days ago, I was in a kindergarten classroom. So I got to do kindergarten and first, and then second and third. And I have tried over the years different ways to explain skepticism and AI and this and that. And ends up, I wrote a book. Just like find the right way.
Yes, go Lisa.
So I wrote a book. The main character is 8 years old. Her name is Maya. And she learns the hard way that AI doesn't always tell the truth and how important it is to be skeptical. Skeptical is a big word for little kids, but it means don't believe what you see as truth until you verify. So that's a concept that they get. And the more that we can talk to them about things that are age appropriate, that are not true or that seem true, and then you do a little research and they're not, the better it's going to go for them. I think it is really important to talk to them early on about being skeptical.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want this book. You let me know where I can find it, Lisa.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll show you a picture later.
All right. We're going to head into some rapid fire questions. I know it's probably felt like rapid fire this entire time. But I think I have maybe like 5 rapid fire questions. Just want to get your initial reaction or your initial thoughts on these. One app that you think every parent should delete from their child's phone today?
One, huh? Snapchat. Snapchat, because there's access to drug dealers that will deliver to your house. Yeah. That's my final answer. But even better than deleting one app would be blocking any apps from even getting downloaded.
Yeah.
There's ways to do that. Block the apps from getting downloaded.
If a parent has already messed up, we're going to say messed up. They have given their kids things. They haven't done the family plan. Things are getting out of control. Is it ever too late to just take it all back, do a digital reset, say start at square one, or at that point you're too late?
You're never too late. Never, never, never too late. No. When you learn new information, you might behave differently. And that's a great fact of being human. And it's a great way to role model. When you learn new things, you're going to make different choices, and that's okay. No, it's absolutely never too late to do a digital reset. Do you want to go in there, after listening to this podcast, throw down a new set of rules on the table and say, here we are, we're going to do these now? No, especially with a teenager, you do not want to.
Oh, I bet. I'm not there yet, but I can only imagine.
So I have my youngest is 17 now, and my oldest is 21. And what I would recommend for older kids who you're seeing the addiction, you're seeing just way too much screen time happening, or they're sneaking it at night, or whatever issues going on where you're like, I just need to change some things. You be honest and you say, gosh, I didn't know what I know now. We didn't have the research behind me to understand this. What I know now is that we've got to have a healthy balance. And it feels like we never have face-to-face interactions anymore, or whatever you're feeling. You got to be honest with them and then say, hey, I'd like to come up with some ways that we can reduce screen time and increase family time, which means also you have to be committed to getting off your phone sometimes, because it's a group effort here. So I don't think it's ever too late. And I think it's okay to be honest and say, I didn't know what I know now.
Sure.
None of us did.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love that. It's also important to show your kids that vulnerability. While you are their leader in a lot of respects, I think it builds trust when you're able to just show them Like, hey, I kind of messed up and here's how I'm going to make it better.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the overwhelmed moms who are listening, these are the ones who are just holding it together day by day. What are, right? What are 3 practical resources you would point them to help them execute a digitally safe environment for their kids?
Okay. One is Common Sense Media has reviews that you can look at for movies, for games, for any kind of tech out there. And what's cool is it has reviews by parents, reviews by experts, and reviews by kids.
Oh,
And a kid
cool.
might say, this app is okay for a 10-year-old. A parent might say, well, maybe more like 12. And an expert might say something totally different. But it gives you different perspectives. If you're curious about a movie or an app or something, that's a good first step to go to, Common Sense Media. The second is Bark. Check out Bark and its monitoring service. It also has a great blog if you're curious about what Discord is or what's going on Instagram. What should you be aware of? That's a great place to start too, because it's got some great resources on its blog. The third thing is something from us, from Center for Online Safety, and it's the Family Tech Agreement. It's a contract front and back in Spanish or English that explains to your child at the top, this is why we're doing this. I love you, and I want you to be well-developed, a well-developed human that can use tech and not get consumed with it. And then it's got check boxes for things that you want to try. And again, I wouldn't fill it out before you talk to your kids, but there's one non-negotiable, and it's the first one on the sheet, and it's get tech out of the bedroom overnight.
Yeah.
Protect their sleep, to protect them from predators who honestly are looking for kids late at night.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Those are 3 really good ones. To include your kids in social media photos or not. It is a highly contested topic. What are your thoughts?
Ooh, my thoughts have changed over time because I think social has changed over time. I don't trust that the rules aren't going to change tomorrow and they're going to put everything out there. I would say don't do it, especially has strong opinions on the back to school photos that include a child's name and picture and school and grade and age and all of the things. Like, those are an absolute please, please, please don't do that. If you need to share that with people, which I get, it's so cute. If you need to share it, put it on a text message to your friends and call it good, but not social.
Yeah. No, those photos make me cringe every year. Every year. All right. Last rapid fire question. Editing. Last rapid fire question. Most disturbing viral or social trend that you're seeing these days?
There's so many weird ones. I think I'm going to go with, it's not even new. It's been around forever, but it's it's called the blackout challenge or the choking challenge. And it's on Instagram and TikTok and all the different platforms as a trend for kids to try.
I don't even know what this is.
Basically, you choke yourself because there's a high that comes along with the choking experience. And then you wake up and laugh, and it's really funny. Like, it's a pass out challenge. The problem is some kids have lost their lives to that because the belt doesn't open back up, or whatever device they're using, it fails them and they're gone. It's a stupid challenge. And, the conversation around it is, just because your friends are doing it doesn't mean you should do it. Think about the consequences, which is really hard when frontal lobe isn't developed
Sure.
yet. So
yeah,
really hard.
And telling them their friends are absolute idiots. You have been so gracious with your time, and I really appreciate it. We're going to start wrapping up. One thing I like to do to wrap up these conversations is something called cheat codes. So, one life hack or cheat code that you have implemented in your own family to just help things run more smoothly. It can be digitally focused or not. It can just be something that your family has adopted that makes things go smoother.
Okay. My hack is going to be leaving your phone charging the first 30 minutes of the day. Research shows that when you take time without your phone in the morning, your whole day goes better. You're more productive. You're more efficient. You are happier. You get things done in a different way. And when you think about it, it makes sense, but it's hard to do when you're using your phone as your alarm clock. And then you're like, oh, what's going on with the news? Oh, I got a notification. Oh, I got to check this. Oh, my boss sent me an email.
Yes, I want to do the Wordle. I have to make sure I do the Wordle for the day.
Oh, yes, exactly. Exactly. So there's lots of reasons that you can get hijacked, but set an intention for 30 minutes without your phone first thing in the day. Otherwise, everyone else's emotions, beliefs, things that are important to them, priorities, get tossed on you way before you've had a chance to see how you're doing emotionally and check in with yourself and plan your day. What are your intentions? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be as a person? Those big questions, they never get asked if you're scrolling other people's stuff.
I love that. That's a really good cheat code.
It makes such a difference.
Lisa, I'm super grateful for our time together. I'm going to be linking to the Center for Online Safety for all my listeners, and this has just been amazing. I can't wait for everyone to hear this one.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie.